Where will I go from here? Still too early to tell, but you can bet I'm prepared for anything. And that's no lie, spotlight's on you, so you know it's showtime.
We can put a man up in space, but on Earth it's just a rat race. Is this the future? We got people working 9 to 5, well over 10% are trying to stay alive. Is this the future? Crime is up, education is down, but the Dow Jones is on the rebound. Is this the future? Ronald Reagan says stay the course, but only a fool would want to endorse this kind of future. Every day as I go my way, I can hear the people as they say,
"Hey brother, can you spare a dime? I don't want to end up doing time."
But they say it's just a sign of the future. That I thought I'd buy, but the interest rates were just too high. Is this the future? Worked years perfecting my craft, now my boss is giving me the shaft. Is this the future? Used to eat steaks and caviar, now it's peanut butter in a candy bar. Is this the future? My money is nearly spent, don't have enough to pay the rent. You can cancel the future. Every day as I go my way, I can hear the people as they say,
"Hey brother, can you spare a dime? I don't want to end up doing time."
But they say it's just a sign of the future.
This program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Discretion is advised.
Can you be? Are you telling me? This is the future. Can you be? Are you telling me? This is the future.
This program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Discretion is advised.
Is this a sign of the future? Can't be that for me, no. Is this a sign of the future? They say that's what it is. What it is. Can't be not for me, no. Is this a sign of the future?
Ralph Tiller.
Alrighty there, ladies and gentlemen. Let me turn my back down, background down a little bit. Let me see. Let me get this right here. Let me do what I do here. Do what I do. Let me turn this down a little bit so you folks can hear me loud and clear. There you go. How's that? All right there, ladies and gentlemen. Your nighttime, right time DJ Music here with another Chop Shop rant. Today, while I got some time, we're going to review something that's been in the news that I feel that has not gotten the attention that it deserves. I remember back in the days when I used to watch football, the SMU scandal where they completely obliterated that college football program. I remember when they stripped all the winning records of the Fab Five from the record books, when they stripped them of their place in history, with Reggie Bush when they took back this Heisman Trophy. So many things, all because mostly these kids took money to either enrich the life of their parents or themselves. Not that they went and broke the law, but it was against the NAAC rules. Reggie Bush's case, he bought his mother a house. SMU scandal, a little deeper, you have to go into that yourself. But the same thing with the Fab Five. These kids took money from boosters to make life better for their families. And they were severely punished for that. Now, along comes Brett Farve, supposed to be a Hall of Fame football player. When you say America, you can't think of nothing more apple pie, baseball, football than Brett Farve from the state of Mississippi. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you folks, I've never been a Brett Farve fan from his days of college, from the days of, how many of you folks know that Brett Farve, his original place of starting in the NFL was in Atlanta? And the controversy around him leaving Atlanta, or how he ended up in Green Bay. See, there's little things like that folks just don't look at the history of Brett Farve. But in this case of, say, like Shannon Sharpe is going to point in a little bit, like in the case of the TOs, if they do things like that, they do things to, to scourge the law a little bit, to break a rule or something. These folks are vilified, they're stripped of their dignity, they're stripped of their achievements. Some cases, they even go to jail, especially when it comes to tax evasion. You remember Wesley Snipes? Remember Red Fox? Remember all of these stars, no matter how you look at it, folks. Brett Farve. Let me tell you what he did for those of you who don't know. Brett Farve robbed from people that was literally drinking, or should I say, not drinking, didn't have clean water to drink. That when they turned their faucets on, brown water came out. These folks been under boiled water a thing for a while now. Brett Farve, for the last 3-4 years, has been ciphering almost close to $7 million in the efforts to, number one, enrich himself. How did he enrich himself? He got paid for a speech. He got paid over $1 million for a speech, a motivational speech to the homeless, to the needy, to the up and coming, that he never did. He was instrumental in getting a volleyball stadium built at his alma mater, where his daughter just happens to be on the volleyball team. He also, with news just coming out, he also lobbied for the University of Mississippi to have a indoor practice facility built. But in the meantime, there's people in Mississippi that don't have clean water to drink. That's $7 million that we know about. Think of how far that $7 million would have gone to fix the infrastructure of the water crisis that's going on down there. But every time you hear people talk about this, they always say, well, there was not enough money. Well, if Brett Farve and his crew would have been stealing it, there might have been some money. So you tell me the level of importance was to build a volleyball stadium rather than poor black people, brown people had clean water. So much even Mississippi, folks, is one of the poorest states in the nation. Do you know how low you got to be to steal from these people? Well, Shannon Sharpe did a great job, if you ask me, of calling him out. But then again, as always, you got some folks, the Yastaboses, the Uncle Toms, well, excuse me, not Uncle Toms, the Sambos, that will jump on the bandwagon of Brett Farve. All kinfolk ain't skinfolk. Talking about Jason Whitlock. They fired him from his one program for talking harshly about black people. They fired him from Fox News 1. So somebody else gave him a platform where he's free to call black people stupid, dumb, and everything else. Especially going up against someone like the, as they say, great Brett Farve, pointing out the mere fact that he's a crook, he's a criminal, he's a misogynist, he is, you'll see. This is Brett Farve, and it's in his entirety. This is who this man is. And too many times we see America putting these cats up on pedestals that they can do no wrong. Folks, let me ask you something. If you thought you weren't doing any wrong, why would you feel the need to ask this question? Is there any way the media could find this out? Is there any way that this could be traced back to me if you thought you were doing no wrong? Well, that's what Brett Farve is. He has a radio show he hasn't been on. He hasn't done any interviews. So what's up, Brett Farve? You was quick to get on TV when you was talking about the kneeling controversy. You was quick to call people out then. You did the circuit. Where you at now, Brett Farve? You know, you can't defend the indefensible. Let's get to this first clip. Let's see which one I want to play first here. Okay, first, let's see. Let's play this one first.
Welcome back. NFL Hall of Famer Brett Farve is facing new questions about his possible connection to an alleged $77 million welfare fraud scheme. Those new questions are also bringing new fallout. ABC News' Steve Osunsami has the latest.
Farve puts it up.
Brett Farve is considered one of the best NFL quarterbacks of all time, and the fallout over the growing welfare scandal in Mississippi has moved SiriusXM to put his weekly radio show on hold. State investigators allege that a group of some of Mississippi's most influential people spent more than $77 million that should have gone to poor families on pet projects like this volleyball arena at the university where the Hall of Famer played college football and where his daughter played volleyball.
We've seen a ton of welfare money that's intended for the poorest folks here in the state of Mississippi flowing to people who just simply did not need it.
In text messages shared in court filings, there are conversations.
Always gotta ask, hey, activists, black activists, where you at? Where all these folks that's always calling out the welfare fraud recipients? Where all the folks that was talking about these folks with the PPP loans is gonna get it? $77 million that these folks ciphered from poor people. I misstated earlier, I said 7 million, 77 million. Where the picket signs? Where's the streams? Where's the live streams about this fiasco? To what's going on with the water crisis? This is in direct conjunction of the water crisis in Mississippi. $77 million went to their pet projects like a gym. $77 million.
In 2017, before the volleyball center opened, where the former quarterback is asking former Governor Phil Bryant for money to build it. And then more text messages 2 years later, this time asking the former governor to help pay for an indoor football practice facility at the same school that was never built, writing that it would give USM's football program instant credibility and USM football will become relevant again. The governor wrote back that use of these funds is tightly controlled. Any improper use could result in violation of federal law. According to court filings, Farve didn't give up, writing the former governor again about the new volleyball center a few months later, saying, "We obviously need your help big time, and time is working against us." The former governor responded, "But we have to follow the law. I am too old for federal prison."
The DOJ is definitely closing in on others involved in this misappropriation scheme.
Farve's attorney says the football legend never knew where the money he was asking for was coming from, saying he only has good intentions with every charitable endeavor he has organized.
Yo, what's up, BMT? How you doing, my man? Appreciate you stopping through. Hey, listen, let me ask you something. That much money, I don't care. Listen, if I know if somebody's gonna hand me $100, you don't think I know where it came from? Come on now. Come on. $5 million and you don't know where it came from? You have no inkling? Brett Farve. But what rattles my cage on this whole situation here is that Brett Farve is a millionaire. He's a multi-millionaire. Instead of robbing from the poor people, Brett Farve, why didn't you use your own money? Because I'm sure at the dedication ceremony, you was up there saying, you know, without all the hard work and the dedication of the good people of Mississippi, this dream couldn't be possible. I'm honored that I can be a part of helping raise funds. I'm honored that I can help raise funds. Let me give you one of these, Brett. Yeah, quick one. You need another one. Slap shit out you. You must think we stupid. Your lawyers must think we stupid, but that's the old Trump tactic right there. You caught red-handed, And until I go to court and I can't lie no more, I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna put a smoke screen up. Brett Farve, if you had nothing to hide, if you think you was above board, why has Sirius XM canceled your program? Just as easy as I'm on YouTube, you're a multi-millionaire. I'm sure you could have got somebody to hook you up to a live stream or TikTok or Instagram or something, say, hey folks, this is what's really happening. If you were innocent, as you said in your Hall of Fame speech, your most thing was about you was your integrity. Here we go.
The former governor has also not been charged or accused of any wrongdoing in this case. And to underline this, Diane, this is about money meant for the poorest people in the poorest state. Diane?
All right, Steve Osunsami, thanks for that. And ABC News legal contributor and host of the Law and Crime Network, Brian Buckmeyer, joins me now for more on this. Brian, what do you make of these text messages with former Governor Phil Bryant? He's denying any involvement.
Yeah, the text messages really tie Brett Farve to this whole scheme because we've already seen two individuals be convicted of crimes in regard to this, that being Nancy New as well as John Davis. And so when you see these text messages between them saying, hey, if the media finds out about this money, will they find out where it came from? Or even these reassurances that he was given, it seems like Brett Farve knew a lot more about where this money was coming from and that it wasn't meant for what he was trying to do.
And you mentioned Nancy New, who's charging.
Already, I mean, think about it. You already got two folks convicted under this same crime. Brett Farve sends text messages linking him to it. What's the holdup in the trial? Why is Brett Farve have not been charged already? If that were me, you, BMT, hey, what's up, Juan G's? If that were either of us, our assets would have been frozen. And the thing about it, it's what another thing about this whole scandal to me is, you know, Brett Farve never intended to have this come to light. He tried to cover himself at all possible venues. Is this anyway gonna get back to me? And if it not been for, you know, I guess reporters, you know, as they call them, doxers, the best way to put it, this would have never came to light. Brett Farve would have still been considered a hero. What does it take? How far does a hero sit on a pedestal before you find out that your hero really is a criminal? It don't take long for us in Black America to figure out which one of our heroes are criminals. And we let them have it. Especially on Black YouTube. If you ain't coming correct, sooner or later, somebody putting you on blast. But again, I gotta blame both sides of the media, the ABCs and the CBSs, because there's no coverage on this. Now tell me, when Reggie Bush was losing his Heisman, when he found out that he bought that house for his mom and some folks, that was in the news every night. That was in the news cycle every night for 3 weeks. The only places this is now, really, is in the archives of YouTube. If you ain't talking about it, you don't know about it. Let's finish this clip.
In connection with this scandal, she is now cooperating with prosecutors as part of a plea deal. So how might prosecutors be utilizing her during this investigation?
So the text messages that we're all talking about and that you showed on the screen just a few moments ago, that really leads to a foundational argument to say, hey, there's got to be more here. What happened in the phone calls? What happened in the in-person meetings? And Nancy New, along with John Davis, who was the head of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, who just got 32 years in jail last year, those two who've already said they're going to cooperate with this investigation, they're going to be giving a lot more information than just these text messages. And maybe we will see Phil Bryant, who is the former former governor face charges, or Brett Farve and others who receive these funds face charges as well. But it's really going to come down to those communications and the information they give the DOJ.
Now, John Davis, the man in charge of Mississippi's welfare agency during the time of this scandal, he has agreed to plead guilty to fraud charges, and he could serve a maximum of 15 years in prison. So what could this mean for Brett Farve?
Yeah. It's bad because there's a strong connection between people who have already pled guilty and are going to serve serious jail time and Brett Farve. Now, his attorney has come out and said, hey, when you look at that message and he's asking about whether or not the media is going to find out that he borrowed this money, that's a philanthropic individual saying, I don't want people to know my name is out there. I don't want them to know that I got this money. But
Well, I think that's enough of that outlandish lie, basically trying to say, well, I don't want people to know. Well, you know what? I'll use another prime example of that. After Prince passed on, that's how we found out all the different agencies that he was giving money to. And none of it is tied to welfare scandal. So stop it, Brett Farve, you and your attorneys. I was born on the weekend, folks. But it wasn't last weekend. Now, here goes the next clip. Let's just check this clip out, and I'll stop it when need to. And this points out again the hypocrisy of the media, as I alluded to earlier, the ABCs, the CBSs, the MSNBCs, how they're quick to report on the Michael Vicks and the Reggie Bushes night after night after night after night, the CNNs, but they don't report on the Brett Farves and the different, remember when, what's his name, Ben Roethlisberger was charged with the rape case down in Georgia, how they barely talked about that? Or with his name, Aaron Rodgers, the little trouble he got in, how they barely talked about that. Or better yet, what's the kids, they used to call him Johnny Football, how they covered up all the scandalous crap he was doing. Remember those incidents? I do. Here we go.
I talked to people that was in the room when Brett Farve went into the Hall of Fame, and nobody mentioned about text messages that he sent to that jet masseuse. Nobody mentioned anything about the addiction that he suffered from. But yet T.O., they brought up everything. Can you imagine if T.O. would have had an incidents like Brett Farve off the field? T.O. still to this day right now would not be in the Hall of Fame. Yet they walked right past it like Brett Farve did nothing.
That is true. I give you that.
The problem that I have with this situation, you got to be a sorry mofo to steal from the lowest. Mississippi is the poorest state in our country.
It is.
Its citizens. So if they're the poorest state, Brett Farve is taken from the underserved. You made $100+ million in the NFL. This is what we know. Scared when black and brown people do fraud the government, they hell bent. You get an EBT card and you get WIC and you get stuff like that, boy, they move heaven and earth to try to put you in jail for $400 little measly dollars.
Fact.
Now this man done took $1 million and they sitting around like, well, you know, it happened and we'll see.
Oh my goodness, fact, Shannon Sharpe. Hey, Manosphere, where you at? Remember? Let BGS tell it. That's the reason why baby mamas and wise black women put y'all out the house, because they were stealing welfare. They wanted that welfare. Now, what y'all got to say about Brett Farve and the $77 million he stole? Him and his buddies stole from the needy. Wouldn't that be considered welfare fraud, just as y'all claim it? Where you at, Manosphere? Why you ain't talking about Brett Farve? Don't fit your narrative, do it. It don't help you in your cause to blame all welfare crime on black women. I don't think there's no black woman in history that stole $77 million from the government and got away with it for 6 months, much less 5-6 years. As y'all tell it, Manosphere, black women can't have a man in the house after 10 o'clock. There goes that argument. Pow, pow, pow. Just slap that one down the drain. Let's go.
They're gonna get more money and do it all over again. The biggest criminals, the people that steal the most, look like that. but he's been a sleazeball. He's been shady for a very, very long time.
None of what Shannon Sharpe just said is false. None.
He is right about T.O., that when they start to look at you, now they're not supposed to look at you off the field. You know, it's a myopic view of a player, not a person. So Shannon knows that you shouldn't be looking, was T.O. a good teammate? Now that's the argument. And I think that's what was held against him.
Longtime sports media man Dan Patrick agreed with Sharpe.
But some players, former players, we embrace that as, well, that's part of the charm of who they are. Now, we do this to Charles Barkley because there's no other analyst who could get by saying what Charles does. They're just not. What happened when he sent pictures to Jen Sturger, who worked for the Jets? I don't know if that was discussed. And probably not when he was up for the Hall of Fame. Now, he got fined $50,000, I believe, at the time. But Shannon is right. Brett Favre, we treat him differently.
Okay, now here's the thing. He has been given a pass for a very, very long time. Especially when you consider the numbers kind of mediocre. A little bit. Yet to see it occur in real time, via the stealing of welfare funds, with text messages appearing to show he knew exactly where they were coming from and feared the media finding out its origins, well, that's just a straight tell. And recently, the journalist who has been working on this story for over 2 years, Anna Wolf of Mississippi Today, wrote in a Twitter thread, Brett Favre, when asking then Governor Phil Bryant of Mississippi in 2018 for help finding funding to construct lockers at the facility, said it would be helpful if someone would build them on their spare time. Pancho mentioned the prison industry possibly as a builder. He mentioned
That's right, folks. You heard it. So, again, Manosphere, and for all you folks that want to say that when these folks... Now, let me get one thing straight. Some folks deserve to be in jail. Let me make no mistake. I'm not an advocate for letting folks out who ain't supposed to be out. But as that prison pipeline, that free work, still exists. That chain gang, chain gang, just because you don't see the shackles on their feet, that don't mean it don't exist. And Brett Favre is well aware of that. Maybe some folks can do it on their spare time. What you got to do in jail? Push-ups? Sit-ups? You don't think some of them folks would say, give them a few pep talks and a pep rally and say, hey, you folks are going to go out and do a special project. You're going to help build Brett Favre's stadium, gym. You don't think them boys would be clamoring to get up out of that jail for hours at a day? But again, here's a classic case of Brett Favre showing exactly who he is. Exactly who he is. He don't mind exploiting people that he feel that's beneath him. I didn't say it. They did.
Using slave prison labor to help build lockers at a new facility for USM, where there are a plethora of wealthy conservative donors who also many gave to Tate Reeves's campaign. We broke down previously the man who was about to subpoena potentially some of these wealthy donors was relieved of his duties as a lawyer on this case. And you know who didn't deny it? Tate Reeves. Jeff Pearlman, who wrote a book on the former Packers quarterback entitled Gunslinger, The Remarkable, Improbable, Iconic Life of Brett Favre, feels ashamed of what's transpired and wrote on Twitter, sincerely, don't buy the book. Don't take it out from the library. Leave it. There are so many better people worthy of your reading hours, of your time. I prefer crumbs like Brett Farve shuffle off into the abyss, shamed by greed and selfishness. Now the question is, do I see a double standard? And the answer...
Y'all to understand the significance of that. This man is willing to take money out of his pocket because that was a #1 selling book about Brett Farve. I'm sure he's made plenty of money off of it because a lot of the actual quotes was actual sit down with Brett Farve. So it's a highly sought after collector's item. And he's telling folks don't buy it. So he's taking money out of his own mouth in spite of Brett Farve. Basically saying this, I don't want your dirty money. I don't want nothing to do with you because you represented fake and fraud and fake and fraud. I didn't know you like this. Now that I've, now that I found out, I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want none of your blood money. That's basically what he's saying.
Is yes, I do. I mean, hypothetically, if Lamar Jackson were to be found to be stealing funds from poor people, what would the reaction be? I mean, I have ESPN on my TV right now. What would the reaction be on this just in? What if Dak Prescott was found to be doing this? What would the reaction be on SportsCenter? I mean, think about this. The Kyler Murray contract situation with the homework clause, lead story for days. Is this embarrassing for Kyler? Is it embarrassing for the Cardinals? And yet we're hardly hearing on these major airwaves, sans Shannon Sharpe, a full segment dedicated to Brett Farve. The last time I saw ESPN and specifically First Take, even more specifically the face of the network, Stephen A. Smith, discuss this, it was like 2 weeks ago. There's a lot that's happened since then. Where is the content? Where are the clips? Shannon Sharpe is not wrong, by the way, in saying, can you imagine if this was T.O.? Because when T.O. was playing, he was ridiculed. Some of it he brought on himself.
He certainly was. But without further ado, folks, before we get to this, our last clip, let's hear exactly what Shannon Sharpe had to say about, let me make sure I get the right clip in here. Where is it at? Is that it? No? I got to find the right clip. What happened to it? Where is it at? Damn it. I tell you what, y'all finish this out and let me see if I can find the right clip, all right?
You know, the doing sit-ups in the driveway and when he was with the 49ers going to the star at midfield and doing a pose after scoring a touchdown. In comparison to stealing welfare funds from poor people in the poorest state in the union, small freaking potatoes.
That's right, folks. Small freaking potatoes. And I still haven't, I don't know what I did with the clip, but I'm going to find it. So y'all just hold on and just keep with me. And I'm going to talk while I look for it. And he's absolutely right. Small freaking potatoes. Remember, like he said, the Mike Vick incident, it was the lead story on ESPN every day. The Reggie Bush story, it was the lead story on ESPN every day. What the world is going on here? I don't know. I tell you what, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to figure something. Doing too many things at once. I got it now. I got it. Here we go. Let me click this on right here. And I need to pull this over. Y'all might hear some clicking in the background. Y'all excuse me, trying to pull it up. I forgot to open the folder that it was sitting in, but I got you now. I got you now, baby. All right. Where's it at? That's not my Shannon Sharpe. That's not it. But like I was saying, there we go. The Undisputed. That's the one I'm on. I mean, just imagine if that was. Let me put one of their another one of their fallen all-stars in perspective. This takes you got to go back in time to think about this. Remember Pete Rose? Pete Rose got banned from baseball for betting on his own team. Not that he stole from the poor, but he got banned from baseball for life for betting on his own team. That's what he did. Let's listen to Shannon Sharpe. I got it now. Here we go.
Build a new volleyball center at the University of Southern Mississippi. Shannon, how much do you think this could tarnish? Brett Farve, along with the help of a former Mississippi governor, obtained welfare funds to help build a new volleyball center at the University of Southern Mississippi. Shannon, how much do you think this could tarnish Brett Favre's legacy?
Well, I don't think none can tarnish it, because if you go back and look at his history when he played in the NFL, it should have tarnished it already. I talked to people that was in the room when Brett Farve went into the Hall of Fame, and nobody mentioned about text messages that he sent to that jet masseuse. Nobody mentioned anything about the addiction that he suffered from. But yet, T.O., they brought up everything. Can you imagine if T.O. would have had an incidents like Brett Farve off the field? T.O. still, to this day right now, would not be in the Hall of Fame. Yet they walked right past it like Brett Farve did nothing.
That is true. I give you that.
The problem that I have with this situation, you got to be a sorry mofo to steal from the lowest of the low. Skip, Mississippi is the poorest state in our country.
It is.
Its citizens. So if they're the poorest state, Brett Farve is taken from the underserved. You made $100+ million in the NFL. And they're talking about what he didn't know. This is what Brett Favre texted. If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? So if you got to ask this question, is there any way the media can find out? You already know you're doing something wrong. The mere fact that you don't want anybody to know. So you know you're doing something wrong. And Skip, he wanted to seem so philanthropic. He wanted to change the perception of the narrative. He take money for some damn volleyball arena.
Well, his
daughter played. You see what Brett Favre did for his alma mater? No, he didn't get no money came out of his pocket. He stole money from people that really needed that money.
Yep.
Man, this is embarrassing. And he's not the only one. Ted DiBiase, a former wrestler, even Marcus Dupree, a great running back at the school that you loved growing up, Oklahoma. He got money. How can you got to be really low to take from the poorest of the poor? Brett, you ain't got enough money? Okay, Skip, listen. You know you're not supposed to have this. But how about go give the damn speeches? They're paying you to give speeches, and you didn't even give the speeches. And now you won't even pay the money back. And they fired one of the guys that say he tried to recoup the money. They fired him well, he was a Clinton appointee.
And there it is, folks. That's part of what you didn't get in the last clip. He literally, come on, they fired somebody, and he literally did not even do the speech that he got paid millions of dollars to do. Didn't even do the speech. And when they said, Brett Favre, give us the money back, it took almost a court action for him to give the money back. And he still hasn't paid the interest on giving that money back. He was not going to do the speech. If that reporter hadn't broke this story, folks, none of that money would have ever made it back to the people that paid Brett Favre to do that speech. None of the money would have made it back. The $77 million would still been going on. The people of Mississippi would still be drinking brown water. It's called 6 degrees of separation. See, when something happens, there's always a cause and effect. Wait a minute, Mississippi. We've been sending y'all all this HUD money and all this relief money. What y'all been doing with it? Can y'all tell me what happened to $77 million plus? Why it shows that y'all spent it, but the infrastructure still look like this? In the poorest of the poor of the Mississippi neighborhoods, i.e. where the black and brown people live. Why is the water coming out the faucet the same color as them? They can't flush their toilets. They can't cook, they can't eat. You can't just go to the faucet, turn on the faucet and say, I need a cool, refreshing drink of water, without boiling it first. But Brett Farve and his company of bandits, bandoleros, decided it was best to build a volleyball and indoor football stadium. Give a speech, get money for it that you don't do. Millions of dollars. But yet they tell somebody who's on welfare, you know what? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Get out and work. Even in Mississippi, you know what? They do have that. If you're on welfare, you have to go to work. If you receive any type of benefits, you also, in conjunction with that, have to either be actively looking for a job or have a job. I guess Brett Farve took that to the extreme. Yeah, I got a job. I'm a motivational speaker. Give me $1 million and I ain't gonna come to work. Calling out sick. Can't talk.
This was political.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you get the money back? Has nothing to do with politics. The man got the, and this is what we know. Scared when black and brown people do fraud the government, they hell bent.
Mm-hmm.
You get an EBT card or you get WIC or you get stuff like that, boy, they move heaven and earth to try to put you in jail for $400 little measly dollars.
Fact.
Now this man done took $1 million. Somebody got $3 million. Somebody got $400,000.
Yeah.
And they sitting around like, well, you know, it happened and we'll see. And they're gonna get more money and do it all over again.
And to your point, the Mississippi Department of Human Services had to file a civil lawsuit against Brett Farve because he had not paid back the interest he owed on the $1.1 million that he was fraudulently given for giving no speeches.
Right. And he won't even pay the 1.1 back. He won't even pay the interest on the money.
Right. It's $228,000.
I mean, you got to be really low.
Yeah.
You got to be really low. And people and politicians, you got to be really low too. To know that this money is supposed to go to the most underserved, and you take it and give it to people that's made millions or got millions or have the potential to make millions.
Look, this is no dig of anybody in the audience. But let me ask y'all a question. Anybody in the audience sitting down there right now got $220,000 at their disposal? I'm just saying. Anybody? I know I don't. So Skip and Shannon is talking about $220,000 like it's no big deal. Maybe to Brett Farve, they're absolutely right. It's no big deal. But to a starving family with no clean drinking water in Mississippi, that money is a lifestyle change. Maybe not to Brett Farve, and maybe not to those two, but to me and a whole lot of other folks on this earth, on this place we live in called the United States. $220,000 makes a whole big difference about how you living. If you got $220,000 just sitting around disposable, nothing to do with it, and you just call it interest because you got paid $1 million, come on now. And y'all got that $220,000 just laying around, you don't need to do nothing with, get to me. I know you can't cash app it to me all at once, but I'll take monthly payments. You know, I certainly will. But again, that's the lifestyle of the rich and infamous, because I can't call Brett Farve famous.
And you're willing to do that? You're willing to let your people starve? You let your people go underserved? And Brett Farve, you took this money? Ain't nothing good. Skip, this is what we know.
Yep.
If people like you, there is nothing you can do to turn them against you. Mm-hmm. We've seen this before now. We see what's going on right now. We got people bending themselves, becoming contortionists trying to explain away what somebody doing with top secret documents at their location. They've been themselves in pretzel. They looking like Neo in the Matrix.
Yep.
So nothing Brett Favre can do. But he's been a sleazeball. He's been shady for a very, very long time.
To all of your points, the one thing I'm pretty sure about is Brett Favre will not be seen in any more national TV commercials from this point forward.
Why won't? Skip, they knew about this. He's still in Copper John. He's still throwing passes to Jerry Rice.
This will end that.
Whatever.
And to Shannon's point, what will it take to end Brett Favre as we know it, seeing him on TV with the Levi commercial, the Copper Pit commercials, the car commercials, the Hall of Fame commercials during Super Bowl time? What's it going to take for Brett Favre to do? Let's think about it then. This is the time of the Me Too culture. So if Brett Favre, remember, he sent tallywhacker pictures to a jet, one of the female jet people, right, of the NFL football player jet. He sent his tallywhacking pictures to her. Had to pay $50,000 in fines for that. We don't know about the rest because, you know, technically Brett Favre really committed a crime. But again, no coverage. Wasn't talked about. Got a little bit of coverage about it, and then ESPN didn't talk about it anymore. Again, Stephen A. Smith is another one. You know, he's a Brett Favre fan. He is. And he always talks, but nothing good about it. Until a couple weeks ago, Stephen A. Smith said something about Brett Favre. It doesn't. And when he says something about black people, and black people did some wrong, he's screaming and yelling, veins popping out his neck, out his forehead. But when he was talking about Brett Favre, he was calm and collect. It doesn't look good. Brett Favre, you know, he has some explaining to do. He has this to do. He has that to do. It doesn't look good for him. But when he's talking about Shaq or Ray Rice that beat up his girlfriend in the elevator and different things like, animal. He's just an animal. He does claws coming out and different things like that. But that's the nature of the beast. It's him, Stephen A. Smith, and another guy that we're going to talk about a little bit, Jason Whitlock. They know where their butter is bred at, so they don't rock the boat so much, so to speak. So even though dare I say, I'm going to give Stephen A. the benefit of the doubt. He might want to cover Brett Favre because it is news that needs to be talked about. In light of the water crisis, if you're going to be an activist for black people, folks, pick the standards and the things that means the most difference. Right now, there should be somebody in Mississippi pointing a gun directly at, I don't mean in the physical sense, but pointing a gun directly at Brett Favre and his cohort saying, listen, here it is. I got a 2-month-old child, a 3-month-old child. I got a 10-year-old, 8-year-old that I can't give clean water to, and you over there hitting volleyballs at the stadium because you and your daughter want to play volleyball. It's not bad enough that we can't go to college because we can't afford it, but it's bad enough that I can't even get clean drinking water while you at your volleyball game. Hold him to the fire. And the only way you're going to do that, folks, is with keeping it in the news, in the mainstream news, in the YouTube streets, anytime you talk about it, at the barbershops or whatever, because Brett Favre and his crew need to be held accountable for what they're doing and what they have done to our people in Mississippi. They always, you hear earlier today, Charles Faulkner did a stream that had absolutely nothing to do with real life situations. BGS, a couple streams ago, this cat was over there doing tarot readings. Angry Man over there the other day in his stream talking about what the modern woman don't want from today's black man. Does that make sense? Angry Man, from what I understand, you married. So why are you talking about the modern woman? Talk about your woman and what she want from your modern ass. Or talk about instances like this with Brett Farve and his crew stealing $77 million from poor, brown, black, underprivileged people that their medium income is $32,000 a year. And in taxes alone and in fines alone, Brett Farve needed to pay back $220,000. Did you hear me? These folks go to work every day, 5-6 days a week, some days 7 days a week, and they come home at the end of the month and at the end of the year with $32,000. Brett Farve had to pay back the interest, $222,000. And we want to sympathize with Brett Farve. Where you at, Manosphere? Where you at, Sinji? Where you at, Taz? The GOAT? You always say you on top of the breaking news. Where you at? Where you at? What's the other guy? Ringo TV. Ringo. Johnny Ringo. Where you at? See what I'm saying? Stuff that matters, y'all folks don't want to talk about, because you know why? Nobody's gonna come watch you. Nobody want to listen to that. But I bet if you're over there talking about black women, talking about black men, and what we don't do and what we don't like, the whole chat room is full. They super chatting and everything else. Where you all you football fans, all you cheeseheads that hold Brett Farve in such high regard, where y'all at? Why y'all talking about Brett Farve in any of your streams and what he's doing and what he did? You know why? Because you can't defend the indefensible.
So we start with his career. And obviously, the great John Madden helped make Brett Favre's career because
he loved him.
He just loved him. And it gave John so much joy to watch Brett play with so much joy.
Yes.
And we give him that. And
yes.
He was obviously a great football player.
Yes.
I thought he got away with near murder on the football field because he had the greenest light. He could just try about anything, but he had a huge arm. And he was pretty athletic.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in his younger days. He did whatever the hell he felt like doing, and about 75% of the time, it worked.
Yes.
And your brother was there in Green Bay.
Yep.
Sterling
3 years
Sharpe.
with him.
3 years with Brett Favre. So he knows what the story was.
Yes.
And I don't think Brett was a bad guy in the locker room, but then we got all kinds of issues going on outside the locker room. Okay. So,
well, considering that he held the Patriots hostage, how many years did he hold the Packers hostage?
The Packers.
How many, Skip? Because isn't that locker room behavior? Well, I'm not playing. I want to retire. I don't want to come to minicamp. I don't want to come to training camp. Trade me. Isn't that locker room behavior? Couldn't that be used against him? Never brought up.
It was diva behavior at the very least. So now I go back to Jeff Pearlman's book that he wrote a few years back on Brett Favre, and it was yesterday on Twitter. He unloaded on him and walked everything back. And if you don't know Jeff Pearlman, he wrote the book on the Showtime Lakers that became the basis for Winning Time, the HBO series. But he did do a book on Brett Favre. And as he said about the positive, he said, I talked about the football heroics, the overcoming obstacles, the practical joker. But yes, I also included in the book his grossness, his addictions, and his treatment of women. But now, after what he heard about this, he just concluded that Brett Favre is a bad guy. He doesn't deserve the icon treatment. He doesn't deserve acclaim, image rehabilitation, warm stories of gridiron glory. He says, now, taking money that was designated to help poor people in his state and funneling that money to help build an expletive volleyball arena.
Yeah.
Again, it was because his daughter was the volleyball player at that point at Southern Mississippi. He said, that is so grotesque, that is so monstrous, that he, Jeff Pearlman, is done with Brett Favre. Well, so should everybody else be, because this is just the worst. And it does tarnish his off-the-field legacy. You can't take away from what he did. He won MVPs. He did that.
He did that.
We got that.
Yeah.
We got it.
Two things can be true, though.
Two things can be true in this case for sure.
Okay, listen, folks. And I'm in total agreement with that last little segment. You can't take away from Brett Favre's on-the-field accomplishments. Because if you were a football fan on Sunday, if you watched football at Green Bay and Brett Favre was on the field, you knew something exciting was going to happen in his heyday. I got to give it. But also giving credence to what Shannon Sharpe said. I mean, those last years when Brett Favre was trade me here or I'm not playing here, isn't that, like Skip said, diva attitude? Isn't that not conducive to great locker room harmony? You know what I'm saying? Being, harmonistic with each other and full sync with each other as you need in a locker room, especially in the NFL. And the one distraction in that locker room at that time, a lot of times, was Brett Favre. Because instead of asking the players about what they thought about this or what they thought about that, they would ask him about Brett Favre. Why? I don't know. But again, Skip had every right, the way he did, to unload on Brett Favre. I totally agree with him. I totally agree with the guy that sold the books and wrote the book. Because, and too many times I've seen sports figures being, they say that we don't take their off-field accomplishments or their off-field antics into, theory or thought when we're voting to go into the Hall of Fame and things. I don't think Ray Rice, what's his name? Not Ray Rice, but number 52, the guy that was supposedly killed those folks in Atlanta. What's his name? From the Ravens. I can't think of his name on that. But I don't think he'll make it in the Hall of Fame. It's just simply because of his off-field antics. But you hear them just now say, well, that shouldn't make a difference. But a lot of times it does. And again, I go back to the great Pete Rose. I mean, the worst thing Pete Rose did was bet on baseball. He didn't bet on his team losing. He bet on his team winning. Y'all understand what I'm saying? There's a big difference when throwing a game and playing your hardest to make sure that we won, because that's what he was betting. He didn't bet that the Cincinnati Reds was going to lose. Charlie Hustle bet that the Cincinnati Reds was going to win. I can go all the way back to the 1901 Boston scandal, to where, Shoeless Joe Jackson and all these other folks, they threw the World Series because somebody was going to give them some money. It pales in the comparison to what Brett Favre did. But see, that again, these are the things that you don't hear about on the news. Or, a person that may be in their 20s or in their teens or in their 30s wouldn't know. You wouldn't, I guarantee you, anyone in their 30s right now, without looking it up, couldn't tell me who Shoeless Joe Jackson is. Guarantee. And I guarantee you this, a lot of these folks, even they're over 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, a lot of you folks could not tell me that King Kong is a direct representation of Jack Johnson. Especially the part where King Kong swoops up Fay Ray, depends on whichever version you watch, in his hand, blew on her, and Fay Ray had an orgasm. or as Jessica, what's her name? Jessica, I forgot her last name, but had an orgasm. That's the power white man was trying to show that black men had over white women. Blow the man down. Gives a new meaning to blowjob, don't it? But y'all understand what I'm saying? So don't ever tell me that you can, number one, remove sports from politics, religion, or TV, because you can't. Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Football included. Here's another fact. 6 out of 10 people that's watching college football in the SEC on the weekend, Saturday, 6 out of 10 is in a football stadium somewhere. Alabama, Mississippi State, 6 out of the 10 people that's watching. Imagine that. That's how big football is where Brett Farve grew up at.
But this is so egregious. This is so over the line that as yet he has not been criminally charged, nor has the ex-governor who he conspired with.
Yeah.
But something is going to come down from
They
this.
should.
Yes.
I mean, you're doing ill. I mean, you're communicating through text about illegal activity. You already said, if you pay me, will the media find out about this?
Yep.
Skip.
That's about as damning as it gets.
Skip, you don't think I want to do something for my school, Savannah State? Hell, I would like to give them a $5 million, $10 million donation. But I will not put myself to try to seem philanthropic or this great benefactor and to take from Georgia's poorest. They're most underserved. Why the hell would I do that? Now, it's probably going to be in my state. Yeah, when I'm gone, yes, Savannah State, I'm going to leave money for Savannah State. But I ain't got it like that. And I'm not trying to be philanthropic to try to show everybody I am. Where I steal from one, I rob Peter to pay Paul, so people look at me, man, look at what Shannon Sharpe did. Bro, for a volleyball arena, $5 million you're the poorest state. Your people need help the most. And you do this, and then $1 million, 1.1 million in speeches. Who the hell are you going to talk to?
That's what I want to know. Who he gonna talk to? Who is Brett Farve gonna talk to for $1 million and some change? What homeless people is he gonna rile up? Is he gonna go to some schools? Who he gonna talk to? But the last thing before I go into this last clip, folks, I want to say about Brett Farve is this. Long after you're gone, Brett Farve, you're going to leave a legacy behind. Okay? Now, I can guarantee you this. Your children, your daughter, is not going to look at that volleyball stadium the same anymore. Nor should you, nor should anyone in your family, because we all know now that it wasn't built with your blood, sweat, and tears. It was built with stolen money. So there goes a part of your legacy erased. And if people do talk about it, it has to come with an asterisk. Remember what y'all talk about, Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa? We have to put an asterisk behind it. Yeah, the stadium is built. Yeah, they play in it. But the real backstory behind how it was built is Brett Farve, your daddy, stole money from the poorest people in Mississippi to get this stadium done. And he came up here one Saturday afternoon and praised the good people of Mississippi for making it happen. All the hard work. You can't tell nobody that story no more if you're Brett Favre's daughter. How does it feel, Brett? To know that part of your legacy is a lie. How does it feel, bro? But let's get into this last clip. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, like Shannon Sharpe said, no matter how wrong you are, if someone loves you, if someone likes you, there's nothing you can do to convince them that you are wrong. Here's case in point. Here is Sambo Yesabos himself, Jason Whitlock. Listen to this fool.
Shannon Sharpe, the Fox Sports FS1 host of Undisputed, did what Shannon Sharpe does. Terrell Owens had done the things that Brett Favre did. No way he would have made the Hall of Fame.
Shannon, what is your point here? Yes, did Brett Favre do something disgusting? Absolutely. You know what? So have a lot of other people, and guess what? They're in the Hall of Fame.
Shannon Sharpe is in the Hall of Fame.
Name one person in the Hall of Fame that's done anything remotely close to what Brett Favre did. Name one. That's fact check number one, what they're wrong about. Name one person in the Hall of Fame that's done anything close to what that Brett Favre has done. Because at one point in time in history, that's what everyone was saying. Name me something that Pete Rose, anyone did since Pete Rose. But now, it's the saying will go, name me something that Brett Favre, someone worse than him in the Hall of Fame. Name me one person.
And I would suggest Shannon Sharpe perhaps punch his name into Google, punch CBS and why they let him go into Google, punch Baby Mama Drama and Shannon Sharpe into Google, and you'll find Shannon Sharpe has his own off-field issues. He's in the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's got a job on national TV talking about sports despite his off-field baggage. This guy is so stupid. And I don't use that word lightly. He is stupid. I'm talking about a really low IQ. He thinks he's actually arguing on behalf of black people.
Where else but in the United States of America can another black man with a box haircut get on a national platform and call another black man ignorant without even knowing him? Other than Black YouTube. Why is Jason Whitlock not been suspended from yet again another show? Because if Shannon Sharpe did have some baby mama drama, that has nothing to do. There's no comparison to what Brett Favre did. None. So again, Jason Whitlock, what is your argument? You and that wannabe Michael Murphy over there.
What world does he live in that he doesn't realize, like, hey man, if it wasn't for second and third chances and people overlooking off the field issues, you think Michael Vick would be working for Fox Sports? I love Michael Vick. I argued for the NFL, celebrated Andy Reid and the Eagles welcoming Vick back into the league.
Complete lie. If you go back in the annals of me covering Jason Whitlock, you will hear exactly what he said about Andy Reid and the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was nothing nice. He didn't celebrate. He vilified Andy Reid and Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles organization as a whole for even considering taking Michael Vick under their wing. No pun intended. Come on, Jason, what do you think? we can't go find this out? Do you really think that you have your pulse of black people when you say that Shannon Sharpe don't speak for black people? You think you speak for us?
I'm a Michael Vick guy. And so I'm very consistent on this. I believe in second, third, and fourth chances. Here's Shannon Sharpe arguing for some sort of standard where athletes shouldn't be given second, third, and fourth chances when he got one. If Shannon Sharpe's standard applied, would Aqib Talib have gotten a job at Fox Sports? This guy is an idiot. He doesn't understand. He's operating in a glass house. We can take race out of it. Craig Carton, the show that comes on right before Shannon Sharpe's, the dude was in federal prison a year or two ago. What is this? And I don't use this word lightly. This dude's retarded, and that's why he has the job that he has.
Well, I think that was a little much. Also, why is he so pissed at Shannon Sharpe when Brett Farve was the one who has a net worth of $100 million and stole $5 million from welfare? Whenever we get on these political topics, everyone already has their mind made up. Everyone picks a side right away and doesn't look at each situation. You don't have to agree with everything Shannon said, but the point is valid. Brett Farve collaborated with the governor and stole $5 million from welfare to build his daughter a volleyball stadium. This is criminal activity. This isn't off the field drama. This isn't personal issues. This guy broke the law, and so did the governor. And if you disagree with someone, I don't think you gotta resort to that kind of name calling, but alright. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of this whole situation. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more content just like this, and I will see you in the next upload.
Yep, that's what you can do, folks. You can leave a comment, whether you agree or disagree. That's fine with me. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. But again, before I go, I just want to say thank everybody for tuning in. And lastly, like my man said at the end of the clip right there, there's no comparison to someone with domestic squabbles and arguments and fights under their belt than someone that broke the law. You can't be arrested for arguing with your wife, but you can be arrested for stealing $5 million from poor people. There's no comparison, Jason Whitlock. None. And for anyone who wants to side with Brett Farve to feel that we should feel sympathy for him, understand something. Brett Farve is a multi-millionaire. With all the endorsements and the football check that he gets, Brett Farve is not hurting for money. He could have easily had, just in recognition alone, with just the people that he in connection with, he could have easily had that gym built. He could have easily went to Levi Strauss and said, hey, listen. He could have easily went to Copperfit and said, hey, listen. He could have easily went to the NFL Players Association and say, hey, listen. He could have easily went to the board of directors of what said Sirius XM, hey, listen. Y'all know I'm good for it. My name is Gold. I'm a Hall of Fame NFL quarterback. My name is Gold. But he chose to steal instead. So for those of you who want to have sympathy, go ahead. Only sympathy I have right now is for the passing of Coolio. For those who don't know, we lost him today. I found out today. Say they found him in the bathroom. Haven't gotten any news on him. Hopefully I'll find out something by Sunday. And for those of you that'll tune into the radio show on Sunday, I'll be there from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, playing you hits from the decades, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. Let me see if I can find a Coolio song right quickly. There we go. one of my favorites. I'm gonna close up with this, ladies and gentlemen. Thank everybody again for tuning in. Remember, the grace of day costs you absolutely nothing. Say hello to someone. Might change the way they're thinking, might change the way they're living. You never know if you walk past them and don't say hello.
You want to tell me what this is all about?
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. Me be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lined in chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta low. As they croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Fool, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Been spending most of their lives living in the gangster's paradise. We've been spending most of their lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Look at the situation they got me facing. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the state, so I gotta be down with the hood team. Too much television watching got me chasing dreams. I'm an educated fool with money on my mind. Got my tin in my hand and a gleam in my eye. I'm a loped out gangster, set tripping banker, and my homies is down, so don't arouse my anger. Fool, death ain't nothing but a heartbeat away. I'm living life, do or die. What can I say? I'm 23 now, but will I live to see 24? The way things is going, I don't know. Tell me why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? We've been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We've been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Power and the money, money and the power. Minute after minute, hour after hour, everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking what's going on in the kitchen. But I don't know what's cooking. They say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can't understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't, I guess they won't, I guess they front. That's why I know my life is out of luck, fool. We've been spending most of